Throughout the last century, Margate has been famous for seaside entertainment. They came for sun, sea fun and Dreamland, the oldest surviving amusement park in the UK. Closed in 2006, after over 100 years of existence in one form or another, Dreamland is coming alive again, thanks to the support of a passionate local community and Thanet District Council, with additional funding from the Heritage Lottery Fund and the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. Dreamland's Visitor and Learning Arcade houses the Dreamland Expo, an exhibition of Dreamland's past, present and future. Here, Nick Dermott, Thanet District Council's Heritage Advisor, explains Dreamland's history and importance.
When the railway came in 1846, the people got off the train and there was a huge beach and it was free, so we went and sat on the beach. Sanger, who was a huge figure in Victorian times, who realised that these people who went and sat on the beach and came down to Margate for the day always had a bit of spare money, and if they had spare money, they'd go somewhere to be entertained. So he opened up the building which was built as a railway station as the Hall by the Sea, which was a dance hall. And at the back there, in the site of the Dreamland today, he opened a menagerie, and also he overwintered his travelling circus. So John Henry Arles, who was an advertising executive and had been to Coney Island and owned the European patents on scenic railways, bought the park in 1919 and Americanised it and called it Dreamland after Dreamland in Coney Island. And the first thing he did was build the scenic railway, which is of course the oldest roller coaster in Britain. In 1934 they started to demolish the front end of the former railway station and rebuild the cinema as an entertainment complex. And where we're standing at the moment was, when it was first opened in 1934, was a pub, and this side was the saloon bar. It also contained a 2,200-seat cinema, 6 shops, 2 other bars, 2 restaurants. So it was an entertainment complex of huge proportions.
The Dreamland Trust was set up to preserve its heritage and to set a sustainable vision for Dreamland. Nick Laister, Chairman of the Trust.
So rather than just talking about saving Dreamland, we wanted to actually make it happen, and that's what the Dreamland Trust was all about. Since the compulsory purchase order was served, the Dreamland Trust was very active in the public inquiry, and I attended the inquiry which ran from January to March in 2012, which was quite an intensive period of time. Once the site was acquired by the council, the Dreamland Trust has really been central in bringing the proposals forward, pulling the whole thing together. It was our team, our project director, our heritage and engagement officer and others really started to move the project forward. It was really the responsibility of the Dreamland Trust to set the whole look and feel of Dreamland. At the time we didn't know exactly who would be operating Dreamland. That was for another day. What we were focused on was actually trying to make sure that the Dreamland that we created was something that nobody had seen before. We brought somebody in, we brought in Wayne Hemingway and a team of designers who hadn't actually worked on an amusement park before, but were bringing something completely different. So then what we're going to end up with, and what we are seeing on the site now, is the creation of something that I think is going to surprise people. It's going to raise a few eyebrows. It will be unexpected. It's going to be a mix of different eras, the old and the new, together with a real contemporary twist.
It's a huge undertaking reconstructing and restoring this multifaceted entertainment complex. Acting Chief Executive for Thanet District Council, Madeleine Homer.
Dreamland is a massive site and it's important to remember that there are unique elements to that site. We have the cinema as well as the amusement arcade. We have the what we refer to as the Sunshine Cafe and the amusement arcade. So actually I think it's worth remembering, and actually you when you actually visit the site you realise what a big space this is. I mean, the potential of that space is massive, but it is a big space. So the council, along with its partners, we've always very much taken the view that this is a phased programme of regeneration activity. I mean, and that's exciting in itself, because initially we'll be opening one part of the park with the operator, and then from then there's other opportunities to build on the very hopeful and anticipated success of that park with the other areas within the Dreamland site itself. And we're already working up some very exciting ideas about what the future of the cinema and what the exterior of those units will look like. And I'm sure, you know, we can reference back to Wayne Hemingway, you know, and his enthusiasm around that is very catching, and you know, I think he's very inspiring around helping us to achieve that.
I think it's important always on any project really to have some kind of creative input. You know, the creative industries have proved themselves over the last decades to add value to a project. It's the second largest driver of the economy. It'd be very hard to find a successful operation of any kind now without some significant creative input at a high level. So, you know, we naturally jumped at the chance to get involved with a project like this, and especially something that's kind of come up from grassroots. You know, this is a project that's a community have made happen, and then the Dreamland Trust have made happen. But when you get a project like this and of this scale, there are all sorts of disparate views on how it should be, and there is no kind of one solution. But for us to come in and kind of bring things together and give it a cohesive identity, and to listen to people and to kind of look at all the different views on this, and the views are, you know, have to be wide. You know, we've always, and I think most people will agree, that if this were just to be purely heritage alone, and you know, like a working museum, then we'll be limiting the money that's going to be spent here and the people that are going to be attracted to it. It's always difficult with any visitor attraction to bring enough people and to get the spend high enough to keep the place profitable. So I think what we've added is yes, let's respect the heritage. Let's talk, you know, let's make sure that it has that kind of heritage feel, but also that it feels of the now, and so that for people who, you know, heritage doesn't mean a lot to them, they just want a great day out, or they just want a cool day out, or they just want a seaside day out, they're going to get it at Dreamland Margate.
Dreamland had fallen into a state of disrepair, and this was a priority. Grant Burton, Dreamland Project Manager for Thanet District Council.
The project really initiated with the commencement of the urgent works. That was on the main cinema building back in 2011 and 2012, where we protected the structure by making it watertight and stabilised the brickwork on the main cinema building. That took, you know, between up to 18 months work on that structure, and I suppose that's the grounding from where we come in terms of construction. From that, we developed the plans and the scheme, and as you can see today, we're on site constructing. There's two contracts in place here. There's one for the Scenic Railway, which is behind me, and there's another for the main works, which is the cinema building, including the ballroom to the south of the site that you see there with the metal cladding on it. The idea is that section will be totally reclad, and new floors put in there and underpinned to make the structure stable and sound again. The Scenic Railway is well under construction. What we can do is we can look at some of the sections of the Scenic Railway now that are still remaining.
A large part of the Scenic Railway that existed when Dreamland closed was destroyed by a fire in 2008. Due to its level of deterioration, the original structure has been methodically repaired and replaced to retain the Grade 2-star heritage listing the ride enjoys. The works were undertaken with full consultation with English Heritage, as a primary aim was to recreate the experience of the ride for future generations. Elements of the original motor and drive will be incorporated into the finished ride. This project would not be possible without the vast support from volunteers, so public engagement was important, as Jan Leandro, Heritage and Public Engagement Officer at Dreamland Trust, explains.
Running parallel to the restoration of the rides, the scenic railway, the landscaping and building the infrastructure around the park is a programme that includes working with volunteers, schools, colleges, universities, students, the local community and the wider community. In May 2014, we opened a visitor centre. The visitor centre is the space that we're sitting in today, and it used to be an amusement arcade. We raised £25,000 from a charity auction to open the space so that we could continue to deliver the activity plan here. Transformation of this space was largely done with a team of volunteers. And much of the work that we've done has been with volunteers. We were able to strip out this space and turn it into a visitor and learning arcade. But it was important that this space be an interactive, immersive space.
Local schools and colleges are excited and enthusiastic about Dreamland's reopening. Students from Hartsdown Academy took part in a postcard design competition for Dreamland, organised by the Dreamland Trust. The winning 3 designs will be made into postcards.
The new build sticks, it's to represent the new build and how it could reflect on Molly.
I like the fact that you've got the rocket in there as well, because you guys all came to the expo to have a look around and do drawings on the rides and all the historic heritage that we have in there basically. So that's really sort of come through on that one. And I really do like the scenic in the background.
I've basically been working with lots of local schools to talk to them about Dreamland and about its heritage.
So sure, this is your work?
Yes, it is.
So how did you come up with the idea?
I was trying to make Dreamland stand out, so I thought if I used the black and kind of black and white on top of the colours, it will make the Dreamland stand out just a little bit more.
It's really abstract. I kind of really like that, and you can obviously tell that it's Dreamland as well because of the fin. And I just like that you've just really
focused on that. The secondary school students are really excited. I think they are they don't actually believe it's going to happen, and to actually find out about the history and heritage of Dreamland as well. They're really excited. When I go in to speak to the primary school students, it's just a hub of excitement. They're so engaged, and a lot of them have done a lot of things on Lord George Sanger. They've done a lot of things on the circus animals. They've engaged through various projects that the Dreamland Trust has worked in already. So they kind of know a lot about it, but they don't actually realise what Dreamland used to be. And so it's really getting them excited. And I always say to them, my job is to come in to talk to you about Dreamland's history and about its heritage and what it used to be and what it's going to be in the future. Your job is to go home and actually talk to your friends, families, neighbours, get everyone excited. So there's a real buzz, you know, about what is happening. There really is.
The Dreamland Expo at the Visitors Centre houses vintage games and pinball machines. It's a result of the hard work of volunteers. It has proved a great and informative asset and an attraction for all ages. John Cripps, Expo Manager.
2 years ago I started volunteering at an exhibition down at the Pie Factory about Walpole Champagnes that was an interior designer for Dreamland. That led to volunteering opportunities here. This particular place now was a derelict arcade, and myself and a fellow volunteer, Peter King, spent 6 weeks ripping out the old arcade and converting it into the expo that we see now. So we had about 160 volunteers we could call on. We ended up with a few that were really dedicated to the cause and come and helped out. When we opened up, we had 2,000 people through the door. We opened up at 1 o'clock on that bank holiday Sunday, I remember, and people just rushed in, and it was quite overwhelming to see all these people coming in to see what we had achieved. We had probably 5 or 6 volunteers that come and changed shifts and carried on and wanted to know what was going on. We give them obviously some training about the heritage of Dreamland, and moved on with that. They greet everybody that comes in, and then we start engaging into conversations, and the odd photo might come out that no one's ever seen before that we can actually then archive into the Dreamland Archive collection.
So many memories and so many pictures of fun times. And these are of real social and historical interest. The Dreamland Trust holds an impressive archive of historical material, which has been digitised by South East Archive for Seaside Photography at Canterbury Christ Church University. Dreamland's pictorial history archivist, Nigel Bredman.
Dreamland seemed to be a natural partner because of its regeneration in terms of the community. So as a project, very similar to ours to regenerate this very important leisure space situated in Margate, to bring it back to life. But also contained within that was a history going back way back into the early part of the 20th century. So whatever material Dreamland had, plus the material that we have of Dreamland from the material that we gained from Margate Museum, we were able to put those two things together and then combine them as an archive for Dreamland. So an example of the material that we have within the archive, stored all around us in this room, are boxes and boxes of glass plates. So they range from 5x4, which was a very popular format at the time for photographers to go out and carry cameras with them, rather like the ones that we have here. But also we have many sort of 10x8s. This is an example of what we would have from the early part 1930s. So photographers would be working with cameras that would be able to photograph on what we would call large formats, these large format glass plates. And these have survived not only one world war, but also about 70 years. And they are still, in some cases, as good now as they were then.
The archive is accessible via the Dreamland portal on the Sea's website. One Dreamland attraction that has been iconic over the years is the Grade 2 listed scenic railway, the only listed ride in the United Kingdom, and it's this that will be the first of many elements within Dreamland to be ready this summer. Guy Holloway, architect.
The scenic railway is the lifeblood, the heart of this project. It is, it acts as a symbol of Margate, and the regeneration of Margate is hugely important to the character of the place. It is one of the oldest roller coasters in the world. It is the only listed roller coaster in the world, and therefore it has huge historical heritage value attached to it. All the time the scenic railway was sitting here and it was half burnt out and falling down and falling apart. It was just sitting there as a symbol of decay and a reverse of Margate. And here we are, and it's being rebuilt, and it's hugely exciting, and moving forward to the opening in the summer, and people can enjoy this ride again. And it is hugely important to the story of Margate, because Dreamland will bring tens of thousands of people to enjoy this park again, and that will complement the old town, that will complement the Turner Gallery, and what that means is that Margate can become a destination in itself, a tourist destination, a visitor destination, and that's how it was before, and that's where Kiss Me Quick came from. This is the place where people met their future partner, their future wife, husband, and this is the place where people associated with. And that all happened very quickly in those days. It all happened in one day. And what we're trying to do here now is create an experience that people can stay in Margate, not just for the day, but for the weekend. And hence, what we're trying to recall Kiss Me Slow. And that means people can stay and enjoy Margate.